Hello all, this is an overview of the readings for the week of November 5th and 7th. The readings were Signs of Shopping, What's in a Package, and Barbie and G.I. Joe playing the 60s. Signs of Shopping. Signs of Shopping simply talks about how, and beautifully, talks about how the shopping mall has become an agora. It's become the marketplace where, as in ancient Greece, you go and you not just buy the product, but you have an experience and a reinforcement of what your culture is about, what your place is, whether it's because of today, as I'm sure back then, whatever was considered, for example, disability, because of orientation, because of your foreignness, because of your sex, class, all of these differences, and it reinscribes that. Of course, the malls today, you don't have that one-on-one that you had in the agora, but to understand how the agora, the idea of the agora, think of the farmer's market. There, here in Davis, for example, the idea of class, automatically the very fact that you are buying from a farmer, that you're buying from someone who works the field, usually smaller farmers, who may or may not have money and may well be upper class, or sometimes when the very fact that you're buying from an employee who works those fields, we assume, because you never know. Just that assumption gives the buyer a sense of being upper class, being above socially the person who they're buying from. It also reinforces the sense of community, even though we're not necessarily all talking to each other. There's a sense of knowing what Davis is about. When you're walking through there, you see the very casual upper classness of the place, but you also see the students, and you get the sense of what Davis is about to some extent from that place, because it's not just a place to shop, it's a place to socialize, and it's a place, in a sense, like what the authors say about walking through a mall. You're walking through a dictionary, you're walking through a cultural and social dictionary of the place where you live, of the nation and the local locale of where you live, the city. However, the malls can be different. Something to think about. If you're going to a mall in an area that is working class, the stores are not going to be Nordstrom, most probably, maybe a Macy's, but they're probably going to be JCPenney's, Target. You might have a Kohl's, Gottschalk's, as opposed to, and the mall over here in Woodland is a perfect example. You have the Target, you have the Gottschalk's, you have the JCPenney's. You might have a Sears. Whereas if you go to a place like the Galleria in Roseville, immediately you have the Nordstrom, Macy's, and all of these upper class stores. You may also have the JCPenney's and the Sears, but you're definitely going to have these flagship upper class stores. As someone from working class, you can go there and fulfill your fantasies of, at least even if you're not able to shop there, you're able to be there. So in a sense, the mall is telling you not only where you belong and reinforcing that position, that social and economic status of yours, but it's also, just as the products do and just as consumerism does, speaking to the possibilities of your advancement in social class and feeding into the fantasy of moving on up, as it were. And moving on up is a very strong part of what consumerism is all about. And it's a very strong part of what the American dream is all about. So you see how all of that feeds into it. But the other part of what the authors talk about is what's really important about the malls too, is equally important, is how it's a place where women are not only powerful, but they have authority. Now think about the fact that shopping has very much been gendered. Well, shopping for certain things has been very much gendered as feminine. There ain't nothing wrong with a man going into Home Depot and spending several hours there because you're doing the manly thing, and that's still shopping. But it's not the same. It's not gendered the same way, And so That's a really important issue too in this reading, and it's a really important thing to think about because the very fact that men distance themselves from that, as this Rosaldo talked about in her article, gives women a space to be able to say, this is ours, this is what we do, this is how we're going to do it. And what's really important about this article, and I found absolutely fascinating, is that that sort of space can also generate very subversive behavior in the act of shopping for bargains. You know, guerrilla shopping, and it reasserts a certain amount of individuality. The system might be pushing me to buy at a really high price, but let me call my friends and find out, you know, is it going to be cheaper? Where is it going to be cheaper? And so on and so forth. And so that creates a social system based on subverting the economic system and getting the most bang for your buck.